If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Picked up on a traffic violation and suddenly sitting across from detectives working a double murder. Welcome to the interrogation nobody wants. Jewelry stashed in books, pawn shop receipts, and 2 unsolved homicides. As the suspect pleads old man wisdom and bad luck, detectives press harder on coincidences stacking up fast. From French drains to Brentwood Street connections, this one's got twists. Let's get into it.
Okay, so like we were just talking about, you got picked up for this traffic violation, all right? So since you got brought down here against your will, before we can talk, I gotta read you your rights.
Okay.
That's just the rule of how it is, even though you're not under arrest for anything that I'm investigating.
You didn't read me my rights the other day.
Well, that's because you weren't under arrest.
Okay.
So now you've been arrested for this traffic violation, so it changes things. That's the difference.
Well, we hope that that's going to get fixed pretty quickly, because that is not how.
Okay, we can discuss all that. So you have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all. And any statement you make may be used against you and probably will be used against you at your trial. You understand that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you've had all this.
Oh, yes.
Any statement you make may be used as evidence against you in court. You understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to and during any question. Understand?
Okay.
If you're unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any questioning.
Okay.
And you have the right to terminate this interview at any time.
Okay.
Understand that?
Okay.
So, any questions about any of those?
No.
Basically, you're in charge. Okay, you talk as long as you want to, and then.
Well, I need to know, why come you didn't just let me know that you thought I could maybe help somehow?
Well, here's the thing. We went over to talk to your wife because we hadn't had a chance to talk to her before.
Okay.
And so we caught her there. It was just she was there. And
Yeah, we had just got back from lunch.
Oh, okay. So we talked to her, and she gave us consent to search in the
Right.
apartment.
We're always going to cooperate
Right,
with
sure.
you. Sure.
And and you have been really cooperative, with the van and everything like that. So
And I would hope she's the same way. So she.
Oh yeah, she was totally cooperative, very, very helpful with us and everything. So
Was there something that you were looking for in there?
well, yeah, you understand that we're looking at what we're investigating, right? We talked to you about it the other day.
Really.
We're investigating a murder that
Yeah,
happened.
I don't know anything about it. I don't really understand what you're messing with me for about
Sure.
it, but
Well, like we kind of explained the other day, is that we went to talk to everybody who
right.
had anything to do with her, and that
Yeah, I
includes
never knew her, so
gardeners and people who did work on her house, and her landlord, and her ex-husband, every other kind of person you could think of that we might
Right.
talk to, and we
well,
just
yeah,
worked
that
our
would
way.
make sense.
And we worked our way down the list till we got to you. Okay, so that's why we made contact that first time stuff. So I went to follow up on that as well because when we talked the first time, your wife was not feeling well. She was asleep and everything. And,
Yeah, she
and you
was.
asked us not to bother, so we didn't bother.
She
so.
works chaotic hours.
Yeah,
she
so-
works 4 a.m. until in the afternoon.
Right.
So that kind of schedule, she doesn't get the proper. Well, she's to get up at 3 a.m. So usually she'll nap in the afternoon.
Right.
If she feels up to it, we'll do a little something. So today we had lunch, and then I presume she probably was asleep. Whatever y'all.
Yeah, I don't know. She didn't say. I think she was changing clothes or something like that. Maybe
Okay.
by the time we got there. So of course we went in and checked the place. So there's a few things I'm I'm concerned about. Maybe you can kind of help me out.
Yeah, if you tell me what they are, I'll
So
gladly help
one
you.
thing, there's a lot of women's jewelry there. So tell me about why there's a lot.
Was
of
it in
women's
a
jewelry.
book? Inside a book?
That's one place. Yeah.
Okay, I only have a couple of jewelry pieces. I'm wearing one, and I have an alternate that I wear that's a Mother Teresa
Right.
medallion. I wear sometimes, not very often.
Right.
I just like Mother Teresa. She was a good person, and she tried to always do for others.
Sure.
So I like to sometimes, I actually got that from a vendor, for a fair price.
You got what?
The Mother of Teresa medallion.
Oh, the Mother Teresa, the one you're wearing, you mean?
No, it was in the.
Oh, it was in the thing. Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of that you would have found is a Bible, or it's actually a book. But when you open it, it's not a book. It's a container.
Right.
And it's just junk stuff that I let the kiddos randomly play with or pick through.
Right.
And it's very old. There's nothing, like I would gladly let you do whatever you got to do with it.
So how did you come across that stuff?
I have collected it for a long time. When I was in 1993, they had stuff here they had to give back to me. They did whatever they wanted to do with it. I've always been a little collector of coins or stones or little junkyard garage sale stuff.
Right.
If you can get it for 50 cents or $1 or $2, the kiddos will play with it if nothing else. I've got 4 grandbabies.
Right.
And then like sometimes for a birthday, if you don't have, if you can't afford a good birthday present, then you can give them something out of the junk box. That's just a junk box is all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens to be I used to like to do that a lot. Okay, I used to like to, I still like to go like on the Congress Avenue or whenever there's something going on where there's a lot of foot traffic and foot vendors, I still like to go peruse around and see what the people are having or making.
Right.
But I presume you understood that from last time. I don't do anything wrong, and I'm fully going to cooperate.
Sure. Yeah, you've been very cooperative, and I appreciate
with anything.
So here's a few things. So there was some other stuff that looked newer.
There's only one new piece that I know of for sure.
And
it's that Mother of Teresa. It's a silver chain and a Mother of Teresa medallion, silver dollar size. Okay. And that would be the only thing I can think of. Maybe one of my old watches, which I quit wearing.
So you said that you got a bunch of stuff back from the 1993 case they returned to you?
Yeah, it might have been even a tad before that. I used to keep rings on my chain, and I actually have the receipts for them from the pawn shop. I bought them. Let me see. 08, 09, maybe, I think 07, 08, 09. I would go in and try to buy them at a fair price. They'll mark them higher than what they actually have in them. And so I would try to buy them, and I have all the, still have in the paperwork, which I'm sure y'all found. I keep all my paperwork with me, so if there's ever any question, I have the paperwork. I have receipts for everything from the pawn shops that I've bought, and they give you a receipt. And I recently had to, because we're in a hotel, and because of our, for some reason we just applied and got denied to rent a place, an apartment.
Where was that at?
She has the data. I can't think of the name of it. It's right there on 35, and it's in the Tech Ridge area. She would know the name of it, but I paid the deposit and everything and got denied, so we're waiting on that back. And I think you probably found a couple of rental agreements in there that we're trying to enter into to lease, so we don't have to live in that area.
Right.
It's a pretty crazy area. And she ended up there. I was in trouble about a year or so back. I'm sure you have a record of that. And I have a question, because that's what this license thing is about that you're using against me now, or that's where it originated from.
Right.
I was asleep in that same van, asleep parked. Okay, and then they arrested me for parole violation for not reporting.
Right.
Okay, and then in the van they found a little bit of marijuana. in the van. But they asked me, since the vehicle wasn't moving,
right,
and since it was just a very minor amount of marijuana, how could that get my license messed up?
I'm not sure all the details on that, but I think that whenever you get arrested for marijuana, you have to do like a drug education program, or else your license is, even if it's not in the car, or else your license can get suspended. Yeah, it's part of,
even if you're not even in a car?
Yeah, even if you're not in a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's how my license ended up being suspended. I've never had any traffic violations or anything like that. So that annoys me.
That's a minor thing. That's
the mistreatment of me can hinder any type of anything that you would ever net or gain from associating with me or asking me to figure out what can you figure out to help us or anything.
Right.
Because I'm an old man, and I've been, I did my time, and I've been treated harshly before, and I don't cotton to it too well.
I don't think they were mistreating.
No, you're not yourself. Your buddy, the day that happened, was a little bit.
What did he say?
Well, he was just a little bit astute. Like he was like a dog on a trail.
Sure.
And that you just have to be up front, and then I'll open the door or whatever it takes.
Sure.
You just have to treat me fairly because I've been through the ringer.
Well, okay, and I want to do nothing but treat you fairly, but believe me. I want you've gotten on our radar. I want to get you off our radar as quickly as I possibly can.
I don't understand.
But I'm going to be straight up forward with you because I try to be as straightforward with people.
We should always be that way. That's the best way.
So, and that is that you're someone that we're definitely looking at in association with this murder that occurred. Okay.
You actually think that I did a murder?
Well, I'm not saying that you did a murder. What I'm saying is, you're someone we definitely have to look at, and we have to do everything we can to try to get you off. So this is where it's real important. Okay, so you have some association with her, and you may not remember it. Okay, with Kathy Blair. Okay?
I don't think I ever met her. I don't think I ever saw her.
Do you know anyone else who's been murdered?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No, I mean, you're the first enlightenment of anything at all, and you didn't do anything but just briefly mention her name. And the only thing I was trying to do was I was trying to put together my records because they got one of my briefcases when they stole the van.
Mm-hmm.
And it had I usually have a notepad of some type and several pens, and I keep notes as to what day I worked, what work I performed, who owes me for the work, like that. Phone number to contact, who it is, what do they want done. And that information may be in some of the paperwork that y'all probably found in the room.
Yeah, I found another briefcase, and I didn't see any paperwork.
I think that's an older one. That's very old. Was it like a Samsonite one, like a real old school? Yeah, that has legal stuff in it. And
so, one thing that we did was, and we had talked about how this murder that we're investigating, okay, is a murder that happened on the 5th, okay, the 5th or the 6th, okay, so the night of. So we talked about maybe what you might have been doing or if you had been working, and you said you thought maybe you may have been working that day.
Or I was with my wife, one or the other.
So we went to your work.
I think I was still employed there at that time.
Yeah, and you weren't employed, and you weren't working during that week. So
did he say what day it was he actually let me go from there?
Yeah,
I think I was on the
last
schedule.
day you worked there was, let me see.
I know I was there Thanksgiving Day for sure.
12/2.
12/2. And that would have been
that would have been the end of that week's schedule right there.
That would have been a Saturday or a Sunday, 12/2.
Yeah, probably.
And this day that this thing happened is on a what day? on the 5th, and what day
It was
of
the 5th. 5th is a Friday. 5th and 6th.
So we've been on a Friday.
Friday night, Saturday morning.
Oh, golly. She usually works early. We usually go to bed early,
Right.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. She's usually 8. When she goes in at 3:30, 4 in the morning, usually we're in bed by 8 o'clock. Or, around, I think what we do is we put on wrestling or whatever show it is that she wants to watch, Criminal Minds or whatever, and we fall asleep to that.
Right. So, tell me your cell phone number again. And we found another cell phone inside the house.
It's one of those Obama phones. It's one of those.
Okay, it's about. Do you know what the phone number is for that?
Yeah, I do. It's. I never use it hardly.
Okay.
Because of the work, not being able to predict a whole month of our finance in advance. We pay our room, which is $300 a week, and we weren't sure if we could both keep phones.
Right.
So I got that phone approximately, I don't know, one got stolen when the van got stolen. I had one in there. So I just called them up, and it's a give me
Transfer
phone.
the phone number.
Yeah, it's one of those they give it to you and give you 200 minutes a month.
Cricket phone.
It's free. It's a free phone
Oh,
from
the
government.
Obama phone one.
Yeah, it's a free phone. Now, my Cricket, we're just not sure how long we're going to be able to keep it because of the bill for it.
Right.
We can't afford it.
Right.
And hers is a little higher because she has all the apps and everything on there, the internet or whatever. Her bill's more expensive.
Right.
And we just, as a matter of fact, today actually just stopped in there after lunch to get, you have to renew, if you have Cricket, you have to get it changed over by January 1.
Right.
I think they call it migrating, something like that. So we had the old phones, and so we had to get them turned over to new phones, and we just did that today. I don't think there's anything I can think of about this thing that you're looking at in question. I just can't. I mean, I was willing to let
me ask you this. I mean, because I'll ask you some specific things.
do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. So one of the things, and we talked about the jewelry and stuff. So
It's
I
all,
noticed,
yeah.
I noticed you pawn a lot of jewelry as well. So where does that come
Not
from?
a lot, just a little bit. What I do is, and she's actually been with me several times, I stop at garage sales and I'll get silver or gold broken. And I save a little bit of it until I have them, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $80 worth, and then I'll actually sell it, not pawn it.
Mm-hmm.
I buy it and sell it. But not very often, not all the time. It's because people are in a crunch for money. There's not a lot of it available. So, I mean, like I have a coin, if you look at my wallet, they took it. I have a coin that I bought. It's a 1895, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And I like I dabble in trinketry is what I call it. Trinkets, just dabble in it. I don't have no secular interest to have a lot of it or anything like that. I just sometimes, if it comes available and I could afford it and I could make money off of it, I would get it.
Sure. So one thing as part of our investigation that we're going to do, all of the jewelry we found there.
It's all junk.
Yeah,
it's all
we seized the jewelry, and we're going to do some investigation on it. But once the investigation's done, we'll get that stuff back to you.
Okay, now what about the knives y'all already took?
It's all part of the investigation.
Are they ruled out already, or
no? All this stuff takes a while. The stuff that we do, it takes a while. So. We have to. It takes us.
Yeah, because that was
unfortunately nothing is really fast, and that's part of what the deal is that we are, sometimes we're waiting on information to come. We can't just wait for stuff to come. That's why we have to continue our investigation. So tomorrow a break may come that breaks the case wide open.
And get me off the radar or whatever you're saying. Okay.
Or put you more firmly on it. It depends on the situation.
Well,
right?
I know that I don't have anything to do with it.
So yeah. But I'm just saying But so in the meantime, we have to do that. So sometimes, I ask questions. Sometimes I ask questions, I know the answer. Sometimes I ask questions, I have no idea. But I get the answer later from a separate source or something like that. So one of the things that we do and are going to do,
It's
like
like
all
you
the
did
stuff that we
today.
pawned, all the stuff that we pawned, is that we're gonna take that stuff and we're gonna check it for DNA.
Or
And we're gonna make sure that it doesn't
whatever
have
you gotta
any.
do.
Obviously, we know it's gonna have your stuff on it. But we have we have a reference sample from you. That's why we got it. And make sure that there's nothing from any of our victims that's on there. Okay.
Right.
The main thing I'm concerned about is this. The main thing I'm concerned about is a murder. Okay. I don't really investigate all that other stuff. Okay.
This is
So
okay.
yeah, that's for you. Yeah, that's water. So here's the thing, and I'm kind of glad that I'm talking to you because you're kind of a more of a, what I would say, kind of more of an experienced type of person. You've been around the system. You know. Kind of
Yeah,
what it's about, right?
I've been handled
So-
roughly.
so I have to.
I've never been treated
Right.
fairly
Right.
by the system
Right.
in any fashion. Even when I chose to do 15 years on a cockamamie story, that if you go back and look at the story yourself,
Right.
okay, which I'm sure you can do because I'm sure there's a report of it. If you go back and look at for yourself, you will see that it's a cockamamie thing.
The 93 case.
Yeah, and I did the time for it.
Sure.
And the whole time I learned and studied, how can I keep myself away from this kind of stuff?
Right.
And just because of my situation with work, I've been working at 7-Elevens. Unbeknownst to me, I'm highly more skilled than that.
Right.
But I would rather do that than to go any other route.
Right.
I can
Right.
barely make a paltry living.
But here's the point I want to make to you, and I think you'll understand this because you've probably seen guys do the same thing, and that is, so like when I go in and I'm investigating something, I'm investigating a murder. I really
Right.
don't care about all the other stuff. You know what I mean? But if it comes up, it comes up, and if people are lying to me, then then I'm gonna use it against them however I need to. Or if I
Right.
need to do it for
Of
my
course.
investigation,
Of
that's what I'm
course.
gonna do. So I always make sure I tell people, hey, listen, I'm investigating a murder. Okay,
Right, which
so
takes
don't-
precedence over
you're-
anything
if
smaller.
you're trying to worm your way out of theft or something like that, something minor, in order to avoid a theft, you might just get yourself into a situation where you get hemmed up on a murder. And that's
Right.
what we don't want to have happen. So it's
Yeah.
very important. I'm not trying to hem you up. It might seem
Yeah.
like I am. I'm not. I'm
Well-
just the opposite. The quicker I can get you off the radar, the better it is for me, because then
Does my
we're
wife
done.
understand your side?
Yes, yeah, we explain all of this to her.
Okay.
Okay. So, but
Yeah, because I don't know anything
But
about
we're-
murder.
okay. So
I know a
I'm-
little bit about some other things, but not that.
Yeah. So let me ask this, because this is the key thing, and this is something that might have happened, is that did anyone give you anything to pawn or give you anything, and now looking back on it went,
No.
whoa, man, I don't want to have that one held over my head, because now that the cops are looking at it. Because sometimes people who don't have a clean record will get somebody else who can pawn stuff, aren't red flagged and stuff, to pawn stuff. So that'd be important for me to know, because I don't want you to get hemmed up over.
This
some
was
kind of
December the 6th, and this is December the 30th. Let me
Right.
think
Yeah,
a
so
second.
this month.
No, because I did have a gold nugget, just a nugget, one of those, it looks like a nugget.
Right.
I did have that, and I actually pawned it, but it's just a nugget. It has no.
Is that the only thing you pawned this month?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
And where did you get that nugget from?
I've had it for about a year.
Do you
Or
remember
maybe
where you got
longer.
it from originally?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think now that you brought that up, because
Right.
that's something I do a little bit of, not much of.
Mhm.
And I think the ticket was in the room for it.
Okay.
I think y'all might have. It's
Well, whether we had the ticket or not, I didn't
Yeah.
do the whole search myself. So whether we had the ticket or not,
Can you
we'll check
tell
your
me?
pawn history.
Can I
and we'll
know
check.
what all you took from there?
Yeah, we can let you know what was taken.
Yeah,
but
because I
you
don't
can
think
bet that any jewelry that was there was taken.
Yeah, I
and
don't think anything was bad in there.
right.
My wife wouldn't stand for it, and I really wouldn't either. You know, it'd bother me. I wouldn't like to have it around if it's something I can't, explain.
Well,
or
was your
know
wife
where I
aware
got it.
that you had all that stuff in there?
The definite, yeah. Well, okay. That's when you're saying all that stuff. The only thing I know about that's even was in there is the book container.
Okay.
Okay.
But did she know that?
And I had a couple of other pieces in a basket on the table with the microwave.
Right.
And it's just that Mother Teresa, and I think it's just a couple of little hoops that you hook a medallion with, like if you were going to hook one onto a chain. And I do that, just tinkering with it. I have a couple of little pliers that I use, and I tinker with that. I tinker with jewelry or stones. I like to tinker with it, or watches. I can fix a broken one. I can fix anything, actually,
So that golden nugget thing, you said that you pawned this month. And you said you had it about a year. Do you remember?
I don't remember if it was this month or I thought it was before Thanksgiving.
Was that the last thing you pawned?
Yeah, that's the last thing I've dealt with.
Do you remember where you got it at?
I'm trying to think of where. It's been about a year since I got that. Because if I tell you the truth, it's going to hurt. You see, if I tell you that what I used to buy it with, you're going to think I'm a bad person, but I'm not.
What did you use to buy it with?
I used some trade for it to buy it.
Okay.
Honestly.
Right.
And I got it about, I think I was living still at Marcel. So it would have been, this is 2014. It would have been like, when I got it, would have been like 2012.
Right.
So I've had it for a couple of years. I used to wear it, actually.
Oh, okay.
And then I decided we needed the money because the room's expensive.
Right.
And I decided to actually I don't have much interest anymore in it. When I was working, had a few extra bucks, I could afford to buy something for $15 and sell it for $25.
Right.
The $25 would help pay a bill.
So how much did this nugget did you?
It's only worth about $100. It's just, it's just 4 or 5 grams, 6 grams. It's nothing. It's not nothing serious. It's just one little nugget that hangs on a chain.
Right.
It's the only thing I can think of. I'm trying to think a minute, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Like, if I had my wallet in there, I could show you. I get the broken. Ladies' gold chains or men's gold chains are different. Men's are thick like this, and it weighs a lot. It's heavy.
Right.
They have little bitty thread size ones that are ladies, and they don't weigh nothing. You could have 3 or 4 of them, and it might only be 1 or 2 grams of gold.
Right.
So it's only worth like $50. People don't even check because they're so small to see if they are real or not. I will actually go to Gruss's, which they don't have them right now. It's too cold. But up until like the 10th month, they'll have them. Up until right before Thanksgiving, they'll still have them, especially in the area where we are. And we were visiting my brother one day, and we stopped, and I got a handful of silver for like $6, which was worth like $30, because it's $15, $16, $18 an ounce.
Right.
And I got it, and she was actually with me, and we actually bought it. Had a yard sale, somebody moving out. Got it. But that's been, like in the summer. So it's nothing I can think of related anything to what you're looking for. The only thing I can even remotely think of is the day that you came by, and I told you, I said, hey, I'm going to remember to look through to see, do I have any names or the list of the day when I worked at that residence, which was back in the summer, I believe it was, or spring or summer. It might have been summer. It's been 6 months or so, or maybe 4, 5, 6 months. I don't remember exactly when it was. But I did, at that time, I always do that, is I take notes of who it is that called me, what do they need? Okay, and I write that stuff down. And then like that particular person, I've worked with him before, or for him before. Mm-hmm. We mended a fence on one of his properties one time, and let me see, what else did we do? We built a pad at his actual residence. Cow path, something like that, 183 area. We built a pad in his yard, a design scape.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked with him then. He called me in on that. But I only go to any of these people, they call me. I don't go.
So I want you to tell me what you remember about this one, because we had talked about that a little bit. So this one, it was over on Tamarack.
I remember the area vaguely, but I remember getting into the area and having to get instruction on where it was.
Right.
Okay. It's on the west side of Mopac and Palmer area. You go right when you go to the second light, something like that. Yeah, I remember exclusively having to get directions on how to get to it.
And what do you remember that the job was there?
I think it was a French drain in the back. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. And it was just like where there's the carport or the patio, and then where the roof drops and drains and it runs everything back up on the patio. And there was planting grass because the grass is like that, sloped back to the patio. So every time it rains, it's gonna wash right down.
Right.
So we planted grass to build it up to keep it from running back. And then he had a French drain already there, but it wasn't functioning. So I told him, hey, Mr. James, if you want this to function correctly, you're going to have to dig it down. You're going to have to put a liner in there, and you're going to have to put rocks back in there so the water will filter through. The rocks won't be together, so then like when rocks hit, they hit like that or this, and then the water can go through it and drain out. And we dug it all the way around, if I remember correctly, all the way past the actual slab,
right,
to the where it would drain out the gate and not, run up on the patio.
Right.
Because that's
okay. So how long was that job?
It was split up into several. He was there with some girl once or twice. So I think it's like 6 or 8 different times I went over there to his. He's one of those kind of people that comes to see, if it fits his standards or not.
And did it?
I think at the end it finally did, but it was hell getting there. Okay, he's some kind of engineer or something, or he's some kind of highfalutin guy, and he's real astute. He wants to line straight, directly or whatever, and. Yeah, as far as I know, he paid. So as far as I know, he was okay with it, or I wouldn't have paid if it was me. And I'm.
You don't remember him having any concerns about the job?
Yeah, he said it was taking a long time, and I tried to tell him, hey, it's raining. It's you're trying to dig in mud.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy thing to do. What you're asking me to do. I'm going to do it, but it's not an easy task. You need equipment in here. I was doing it with just a pickaxe and a shovel.
Right.
Just with my bare hands,
Right.
Yeah, it was very lengthy. He changed up once or twice the idea or the concept that he wanted to use, and then he wanted to bring in, we were going to use what was already there. So this is why it took so long. He had me dig out the rock that was in there and screen the dirt off of it,
mm-hmm.
And so it takes a minute to do all that,
sure.
and he should have known, because he's the one asking me to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
He should have known what this is going to entail,
Right.
And it's not an easy task, but I did it. And I finally, I think he was a little. Only thing is, I remember specifically is that he called me and asked me what did he owe me. And I said, well, this is how many hours I got in at James. So you decide, I'll leave it up to you, but this is how many hours I got. And if you want to be fair about it, then you'll meet somewhere close to these hours. And he didn't. It was a little under that, just a tad under. But that was okay with me because when you're just standing there screening rock that you dug up, you're not working very hard.
Right. So the guy who hired you, what was his name?
His name is...
He owned the house?
Yeah, he's the
He
owner.
didn't live there?
I thought he did at one time.
Okay.
I'm
But at
not
the time
sure.
you were doing the work, was he living there?
I don't think he was. I think he lived on Cow Patty or Cow Path. He's the owner,
Right.
as far as I know.
Right. And do you remember having any contact with the person who did live there?
No, I just remember her coming and going in some kind of I want to say it was a Suburban, but I'm not sure. It could have been a Yukon or whatever, some kind of an SUV, a big SUV.
Right.
Coming and going a couple of times while, actually talked to the lady while I was there.
Okay.
And just said, hey, this is Tim. This is the guy that does a lot of work for me, and he'll be doing this job, or whatever. Something like that initially.
Do you remember talking to you or having some concerns about that you brought somebody else to the job?
Yeah, we didn't work, though. We didn't work that day. It was rained out. It was bad weather. It was that where we had those, I call them freaky rains, but it's where the sun's shining, but then it's going to rain.
Right.
Predicted to rain 20, 30, 40%, but it'll still rain.
But you did go to the job site with another person?
I think I might have had, yeah, that's the thing I was going to look up and see who that was. Anytime somebody helps me, I usually have some kind of a data on them of some kind, and I've only used a few. I've only used a few helpers over the years, and I don't do this that much. You see, I don't do this kind of work that much, only in between regular jobs.
And do you ever use your brothers to help you out?
No, I help them.
Help them? Okay.
Yeah, I help them. At that residence that he owns another one, and I've helped do a fence and a fence in a driveway, I think, or stone in a driveway, something to do with the stone in a driveway, at another building, another residence that he owns, that guy, Mr. And his last name is bewildering to me, but it's Mr. James, that's what I call him. So, and his last name, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm a little out of sort because I got to pee again, but it's pretty bad.
So just a quick question. We talked about this before, but I just want to clarify. So you never went into the house while you were
No. Yeah, definitely not.
So,
definitely not.
You got to pee a lot. You didn't ever have to go in and use the restroom in there?
No, I'm kind of pretty, I'll piss outside.
Right.
I never do that. Right. Unless, if you calling me to go fix a broken sink or something,
sure,
you're going to be there,
right.
Because I don't need no kind of, anything, where you think I'm involved with anything.
Right. Well, and the thing is, and the reason I asked,
I'm kind of cautious about that.
Yeah, that is an important thing, especially in this particular circumstance, because, obviously, like we say, one of the things we check is DNA.
Yeah.
And even when somebody is, wearing work gloves or whatever, going in and out, there's still a lot of times we'll leave DNA there at the scene. So, we like to make sure that someone's been inside, that we make sure that we get them identified, and that there's a reason that they might have left their DNA there at the scene.
Yeah, I don't do not remember going inside at all.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I don't ever remember even, I think just one day, but I'm not even sure. I think one of the days, Mr. would probably remember having me meet him over there and taking me to show who I am to the person. Right. So this guy's going to be back there doing that French drain. And like I said, never.
So might you have been in the house?
No, I take my own drink. I take my own drinks. I take my own food. I don't, like you saw in the van, I got it in the summertime. I'll take a container full of tea. Mm-hmm. And then I go to corner stores, grab a 99-cent brisk tea or grab ice water. That's one of the things I'm a decent guy, okay? Right. So I don't even leave my cigarette butts.
Right.
Okay, I put my cigarette butts when I'm working, I put my cigarette butts in my pocket. and your officer, the one that, which I'm hoping that's going to be fixed, because it's going to cause me a lot of headache if I have to get arrested for driving while license suspended. Because then the parole people are going to come in. The last time this just recently happened, I ended up spending 90 days. I almost got my wife to where she thought I was doing some kind of, hey, if you're going to get in trouble all the time, this happened. Okay, now, as far as I know, okay, I'm just going to ask. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you would know. As far as I know, I need to be driving the car, and you need to pull me over in the car.
Well, they could observe you operating the car.
Okay, well, that y'all did do. Okay, I was coming because she told me y'all are there, and I'm like, she didn't say it was you. I probably wouldn't have been so pretentious had it.
Right.
She had said that it was you.
Right.
Because you're somebody I met, and you treated me fairly.
Right.
So that's, as long as that still exists, then, I can always try to meet that fairly. But if that doesn't exist, and I get screwed, then, that's...
No one's trying to screw you, okay? I mean, you do, understand, okay? You're not allowed to drive a car.
Right,
okay?
I understand that. I do know that.
So there's going to be some sort of enforcement action. There's going to be a ticket at the very least, okay? So
for today, though? Just because of today, because y'all are in for... there at the residence, and I didn't know that you're there. All you had to do was call me. I would have been there.
Right.
You see?
Well, I can't help... Dad,
let me know. Just let me know you need to search the place. Okay. I probably would have let you then if you would have let me walk in and wake her up.
Sure.
You could search it right then. I'm totally trying to do.
Well, I'll talk to the officer when I'm done here. Okay, I can't make any guarantees. Okay. So
if he wants to give me a ticket, that's different.
Right.
I can pay the dang ticket. But if he's gonna let it go to where I have to get in a lot of trouble and have to deal with.
So let's focus. Hey, let's. I totally understand your concerns. I'm not doing that. But I want to stay focused on the important thing. Okay. That's what I call little trouble. Okay. A ticket, or even going to jail for a ticket. That's little tiny trouble. Okay. Big trouble is murder. Okay. Murder is big trouble.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really trying to steer you away from.
Yeah.
Okay?
I don't think there's anything. I mean, I've tried to think since the other day, and I tried to think when y'all were there. I just don't think there. I mean, anything I know or anything I could.
Oh, something that did come up while we were there at the house. So I do want to ask you about this. So while I was searching, you have a gray fleece jacket that hangs on the door there.
It's been there
for Lexus jacket.
It's been there for a minute. Yeah.
So,
it's been there for a minute.
Anyway, in the pocket of that jacket, there's a bunch of. So it's my job to to just find out about this, and so I'm asking. You're giving me an explanation.
That's and actually, I don't need an issue. That's what I'm saying. I don't need any kind of an issue with law enforcement. I'm trying to do everything I can.
I get it. We're trying to do everything we can and that's why we're here. Okay, So
I didn't like this actual method, but I understand. You have to do
use methods that.
All you do is just tell me, hey, I want to search the place, and I'm like, come on, I'll stay right here until you get here,
So, what are your thoughts? Let's talk about Tamarack a little bit more. So, do you remember? I guess you met the woman, but that was about it.
It was so vague, I wouldn't even.
So it didn't ring a bell when there was news reports about a murder over there.
I didn't ever see them or know of them, as far as I know. Did y'all publicize it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I didn't ever know. We read the paper. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you saw that. We get the Sunday paper, and we also get holiday papers.
Right.
Okay, she's just astute about that. And I don't think we read about it.
So let me just ask you a question. Do you know anyone else who's been murdered this month? Shouldn't be a hard question.
Who's been murdered? You mean
this month?
Yeah, somebody. She went to some funeral and a church thing for something.
Who did?
My wife did. She actually. I couldn't go. I was actually working. Somebody from our church. I didn't know them, but they're from our church.
Did your wife know them?
I think so. I think she did, or she knew maybe from the church knew them. Our church is real old. There are a lot of older people there, and Hey, you let me throw a leak again?
Yeah, sure.
I'm in bad shape right here.
Hey, can you hold on one second? I'm going to have an officer walk over there because I want to talk to someone else.
Okay, that was much better.
Sure, we were talking about these people from the church.
I don't know anything about it. She just told me something about it from the paper. She would know more than I would. She brought me the thing from the church.
And so what did she say? I mean, what did she say?
She just said she knew them.
Yeah.
She knew them from the church. You got to understand, the church is really weird. I go there and I set up all the tables. And then, like, right after we have the dinner or the whatever function we're having, they break down the tables. And they're all old. So I do it. Okay, and then there's one or two other guys that help do it, and they're actually pretty old, and they shouldn't be doing it, but I do it. So basically, I don't get involved in the church stuff for the people. I'm kind of busy either in the kitchen or doing the tables or whatever. You know, I'm just kind of there. We got married there in the church, and so we're members. We're not like very active members of the church, but we go there some. It's been a while since we've went, though, about a year or so. They just have functions sometimes they'll invite us for.
So what did your wife tell you had happened to these people?
I don't think she knew us other than just whatever the paper said. She read about it. The only thing I remember is we were laying there, and she read something in the paper about it, and then she looked at me, and she had a couple of tears in her eyes, so I said, "What's wrong, baby?" And she said that she knew those people.
Oh,
okay, so, or maybe not knew in the sense of like first name basis or whatever, but knew, you know, them from the church, you know, knew that they were members of the same church. And then, like, a lot of the people don't go very much because they're healthy and they're old, you know, so they don't go a whole lot. So you wouldn't see them. Like, I used to go to Bible study Sunday mornings at 9:30. And just Bible study, but there's a service after, and there's a service, you know, a breakfast or a lunch or whatever, and I didn't go to none.
So you never met these people? If I told you what their names were, their name was Shelton, you never met them?
I only just knew because my wife had told me about it, you know, and she brought me the thing that they give you when you're there, when you go to the thing. So
you didn't go to the funeral?
No, I was busy working. I think she asked me or told me she was going to try to go, and then her schedule was like she just barely got off from work in time to go or something like that. I just vaguely remember it. I don't, you know, I was kind of like the day when you ran into me as to why you found the stuff in the gray fleece jacket. Okay.
So let me ask you, actually, we're talking about stuff from the apartment. So
that's the only thing I can think
there's,
of.
in a backpack, you have a backpack, and there was some jewelry in that backpack as well, including some in a box.
Oh, yeah, that's actually, it was bought. It's actually a blue and purple stone, silver ring, something like that. It's in a case, and it was actually bought. And that should have been, I think there's only a watch or two couple of old watches. I used to wear them all the time like you do, but I don't anymore. And
so there were a lot of jewelry bags in there, like, you know, like the bags that you buy jewelry in, that sort of thing.
Little velvet bags or little plastic bags.
Right.
Yeah, I keep a few of those around for that. I actually have things in them, you know, like usually I'll put it up. If it's not junk for the kids to play with, I put it up. I put it away.
Right.
And it would be inside one of the bags. There's nothing stolen,
so tell me about
nothing related to a murder or anything in there.
Right. So tell me about this box that has a ring in it.
It has a purple and a blue stone in it, and it has some. It's all. It's a brand new box.
Tell me, where did you get it?
It came from Christmas. It was meant to be a gift, and they decided against giving it for Christmas.
Who did?
Actually, my sister, and she'll know about it if you care to ask her.
And what's her name?
Her name is. In other words, it's nothing
So she had originally bought it.
Well, I don't know, other than it was supposed to go to someone and it didn't go to somebody around Christmas.
Well, you got it from her.
Yeah, I got it from,
Okay. And what's phone number? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it belongs. Yeah, it's brand new. It belongs to them. There's not, man. You obviously don't believe me, but there's nothing that I would not let you search or deal with.
Well, I'm a little concerned. I mean, when I see stuff, I'll tell you. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I just have to. I have to look at things in an objective way.
Check out your records for back with me, and I will actually even, given the chance, I will actually show you all receipts for everything ever bought from the pawn shop.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a stack like this.
Sure.
Okay, so I don't do it. I did it a lot in 07, 08, 09. I kind of sort of messed with trinkets a little bit, but kind of quit because of financial. You can't afford it. But I have the receipts for everything, that I've ever bought. I have the receipt. It's a big stack of them. Mm-hmm. And I also even bought 3 men's pieces and kept the receipt. It was a large purchase. I was working for the moving company and driver for a moving truck and making good money, like $700, $800, $900 a week,
Right.
Plus tips.
Right.
Plus tips. So it'd be like another half a paycheck. And tips.
So you're a pretty healthy guy. I know you got the key.
I'm very knowledgeable. I can do any kind of plumbing, any kind of electrical, not major electrical where you tie into the power source, but like ceiling fans or these lights or
yard work. Obviously, yard work.
Not so much. I can tell others how to do it and make sure it gets done right.
Sure. Right.
Pretty much. And I can make sure make sure the job goes well on a major scape. They call it hardscaping is what they call it.
Right.
It's where there's a lot of stones and a little bit of plants and makes it look really cool. I'm curious, it bugs me a little bit. When I stepped out of my van, they didn't have weapons drawn on me, but they said I was not under arrest. Okay. I asked you, am I under arrest?
Well, I think at that moment they were detaining you, so they hadn't really made a decision at that point.
I always want to know. I always want to know what what's going on.
Right.
I try to be alert to that.
Well, and I'm trying to keep you up to date on what's going on. And one thing that's going on for sure is that we're conducting a murder investigation. Here's an interesting thing. Okay, so as we discussed, okay. Are
you liking me for this thing, or are you liking to try to, make sure that I'm not liked for this thing?
Here's the deal, okay? Here's the deal. This is what I want, and this is not trying. I'm not trying to be pat, okay? What I'm trying to do is, if you did it, I want to get the proof on you. If you didn't do it, I want to get you out of the way as soon as I possibly can.
Yeah, I want to do the same thing.
And here's what I'm.
I didn't do it.
Okay, I get it. Here's what I'm running into. Okay, so.
You're looking for anything little.
You got there, but here's the thing too, okay? And some we just discussed, and that is that. So you have Kathy Blair over on Tamarack, right? You were over at her house.
Well, I heard you say
right.
the name, but I didn't. She didn't contract me or anything. I wouldn't even know her.
Here's the deal too, okay? Weird coincidence. The Sheltons, you also have a connection to the Sheltons too.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I didn't know them or anything.
You go to the same church.
But you got to understand
and your wife knows them pretty well enough.
Well, she knew them, but I didn't. They're separate.
And just to be on the safe side, you never been in their house. Right?
Never been in their house.
Because she did.
Never been in their house.
Your wife did massage and stuff like that over for them at their house.
She had said something about she knew them.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would.
So you never went in.
No, I didn't have nothing.
I just want to make sure. That's again when we're talking about just making sure that if we see something, we have an explanation. It's like I ask you everything that we've done, everything I've seen that concerns me. I ask you, and you give me an explanation. Okay, like
I
found
want to
pills,
make sure.
I ask you, you give me an explanation.
Make sure
I found jewelry. I ask you, you give me an explanation. And that's what I'm looking for. So when I'm asking you stuff,
Yeah,
all I'm asking you for
I want to make sure we can put it all on the table
for
here.
explanation, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to BS you. I'm not trying to do it, but it is just kind of weird that
I thought y'all were
that
looking
you
for
just
knives.
you happen to know people that were.
Well, duh.
3 people have been
yeah.
murdered this month. Okay.
How many people?
Well, 3. There was the Sheltons were murdered and Kathy Blair was murdered.
The Sheltons, more than one?
Yes.
She had just said it was the lady.
Well, maybe she just knew the lady.
Yeah, maybe that's what she meant. Yeah.
So that's a weird coincidence. It doesn't mean that you did it. Okay?
Yeah, well, I definitely
so that's a
didn't
weird
do it.
coincidence. All right.
I
It
mean,
doesn't even mean that
we can do
that
whatever it takes.
That it just means that we got 2 unsolved cases. Okay. And you're kind of a link between those 2 unsolved cases. So that's what makes this so weird. So now you kind of understand what I'm looking at. I'm like, that's weird.
That's weird.
Right? So I got to look at you. I got to, because when I find the right guy, they're going to say, "Why didn't you look at this guy? You were obviously focused on my guy and not on this." So I got to do it. I got to look at you.
Is there anything that I should do or can do that you can advise me of that I should,
Well, if you can help us,
Yeah,
like one thing I want to try to figure out, and I don't know, maybe you don't remember, but are you? And the biggest thing, I mean, I'll just tell you this, and the answer to that question right there is to tell the truth. I mean, 100% tell the truth. And listen, I know you're saying it always, but listen, I've also been a cop for over 20 years, so I know that people lie to the cops. Okay, it's just normal.
Well, I'm not interested.
Even my friends lie to me because I'm a cop. It just happens. Okay, especially a guy who's been around the block a few times. Okay?
I put it straight up with you. I put it straight up front.
And I don't hold that against you. Okay, but in this case, it is super, super important that I get just the truth, even if it's bad, even if it makes you look bad. I'm not worried about that. I'm honestly not worried about you looking bad. I'm just worried about getting the truth.
Okay, now
I know you told me some
record.
stuff already. Yeah,
You can follow the record. Check it out.
Right.
When they found me asleep, they found a little bit of weed.
Right.
They piss tested me, and my piss was clean.
Right.
They're asking me, well, why did we find weed?
Right.
Because it has a more powerful dollar component.
You can
Okay.
buy other stuff.
Well, no, it's just the dollar's only worth $1.
Right.
But with this, you can actually use it for something that you could buy that would gain you more of $1.
Right.
You see, that's why they
So
found
it's just
a
a
little bit.
unit of exchange.
Yeah, that's exactly why they found it. And so then it actually came up, that my PO comes over there, and I had to tell her the truth too. And it didn't look good on me. I told her the truth, and I did 90 days in jail and was released. But if you look at those records, that would tell you, that's why he had a little bit of weakness. I'll tell you the truth.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I mean, that's all little stuff.
Yeah,
so the big stuff is the big stuff. Okay, so here's
I
another
might
big
know a
thing.
few little things, but I don't know any big
Here's
things.
another big things through a variety of ways.
I don't
Okay,
know any big
and through a variety of ways, and I can't get into all of them. You can probably imagine a few of them, but through a variety of ways, we can kind of figure out where people are at a lot of times. Okay.
Okay.
And
I'm an old man. I'm a nickel and dime
So
kind of
the
guy.
important thing is we need to know on that night that the murder happened on Tamarack, was the 5th and 6th. Would you have been over there for any reason at all?
Hell
over in
no.
that area?
Hell no.
The
No.
night the Sheltons were killed, and that was
I just
closer on.
I vaguely remember her reading about it in the paper to me.
So let me tell you the date on that. That was the 15th.
15.
Okay.
Would
So
I
it
have
could have
been?
happened the 14th.
Would I have been in that
15th.
neighborhood? Is that what you're asking me? No.
Now that's, you know what neighborhood it is?
I think so. She had said right close by the church area.
Okay.
So that's just.
You know
that's
what street
basic.
they lived on?
I think she said. It can't be that many because there's. The church is on Woodrow, and she said that they lived close by the church, so it's in between Koenig and probably Anderson.
Does Brentwood
Anywhere.
ring a bell?
Yeah, it does actually. New Brentwood does, because that's where I actually lived.
So you lived on Brentwood.
In 07.
Yeah.
In 07.
But I also saw that you were trying to rent a place on Brentwood. Brentwood?
Yeah, I was trying to rent one there, but it didn't come through. I called the man several times and didn't come through.
So this is some of the stuff. I mean, this is, again,
Yeah,
it's coincidence
you don't
stuff.
boop where
but
you
we
live.
need to,
You know.
well, yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah, you don't.
Some people do,
You don't. Yeah, you don't.
So we'd be dumb not to talk to you, and
But
get
when
to
you talk to me, you talk to me once.
right.
Okay. The procedure or the methodry in which you're talking to me the second time
Mm-hmm.
is probably what I would not have, expected from
Sure.
you. I would just have expected you to somehow or another approach me the way you did the day
Mm-hmm.
that I met you, or any other time. You could notify me that you need to speak with me or whatever, or anything.
Right.
And I would have gladly obliged.
Well, there are a lot of different ways that we could have done this.
Well, the method was a little.
Yeah. So
my girl's health is.
I take responsibility for the method, but there are other methods more harsh that I could have used. So
Yeah, when you're
done to your parole officer or done a variety of different things.
She's
like
already called me to change the appointment. My appointment was on the 12th,
right,
and she changed it to the 6th. I don't know why. She just called me and said that. So, and she asked me if that was okay, and I said, of course. As long as I know what I'm supposed to be doing, then I can do it.
Right. So so getting back to the Brentwood thing, I mean, because I think it's important that I at least ask and try to find out. Obviously there's there's some connection there. You go to the same church with the people, live on the same street. So,
but it's
trying to
way
figure out,
the heck on the.
Yeah, the other side.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known anything.
Right.
I'm trying to transpute it just in my
Right.
head, and it's not.
But as you see, there's a
about.
lot of coincidences that are going on. So that's
Yeah.
what. And in my line of work, coincidences kind of set off alarm bells. So we have to look at those.
You
We
can
have to
rule them out,
check them.
though.
We
Or
can,
rule
but
them
it
in.
takes a lot of work.
Yeah, rule them out or rule them in.
This is
Either
the
way.
process that we use to rule it out.
I'm sorry,
Ask the
because
people
this
directly.
process is kind of not.
So on the 15th, do you have any recollection of what you might have been doing on the 15th?
Oh yeah, we do that every night. We sleep together every night. I mean, she works 4 to 12, so
Right.
unless I go do laundry, and that only takes about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she'll go to bed at 8, and I'll go do laundry and get home at 10. Because I'll leave right when she's going to bed, and I'll be back in bed. And then as soon as I get in bed, she wakes up. She knows I'm there.
So I
I sleep
so
with
this
her
month-
every night.
This month, there wouldn't be any situation where it said, well, I got home from work and he was gone, or he came home, or he left, sometime during the night, unexpectedly, nothing like that.
No. I sleep with her every night. And then most of the time, if she wants to take it, I make her breakfast in the morning on the way to work.
Right.
I usually make her either a sandwich and grapes or cucumbers, or I make her healthy stuff.
Right.
And I make her lunch. If she wants to take it, I make it. She doesn't eat cereal, but when she comes home, she'll eat cereal. Yeah, I do. I've been doing that. I'm a good husband. I take care of her. I cook for her every day, and I make her lunches, and I do her nails, all the above. I'm with her all the time, in other words. Yeah, I'm believe it or not, I think I'm learning. I didn't ever think I would be, but she thinks I am.
So over the last month, just to be clear, so that I'm 100% clear, we wouldn't find any record of you being anywhere out at night.
No, yeah, not late
So
at
you're
night.
always
no.
you're always
Yeah, well, 10-ish, it's the latest,
sure by 10. So after
I don't even
after
hardly,
10 or so.
Yeah, after 10 or so, we're in bed, for sure, unless I just step out the door to smoke a cigarette, because she doesn't smoke. So, and I was curious, I need one badly, but I have some with me in my stuff. I would step out, I don't even close the door or lock it because it makes noise. I just step out right there in front of the door, and hotel people will be able to tell you that I step out there and smoke, and they'll come by, especially the old lady. She's real cool. And she'll talk with me a second as she's passing by. And it's just long enough to smoke a cigarette, and I go right back in. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I may smoke a cigarette and then go right back to bed. Or get a cup of tea and go back to bed.
Right.
We have a common normal.
Yeah. So, and I should tell you, because this is, I try to tell people this every time, when we sit down in this type of investigation because of the seriousness of it.
Right.
Every single thing that you tell me, we're going to check. Okay.
Yeah, it matters.
And I think you would expect that.
It matters. Yeah.
That's your tax money at work, so to speak. So he.
It ain't been at work on one issue. You remember that issue I asked you about?
Yes, and I'll send I'll message over to you.
You said you were going to do it. I hope you had done it already.
No, I hadn't. So I apologize for that. But Friday, right after we got done on Friday, I had to go to another call, and today is the first day I've been back.
I have a curiosity question.
I forgot.
You took 4 knives out of my van. I allowed you to take them.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't that be on the expediency list? Because I allowed you to do it.
Sure.
You see, of free will, voluntarily,
Yeah, everything is, you can only be as expedient as our scientists will allow us to.
Well, I know that those were,
right.
They were sitting in Southside impound, so I know that those are all.
Right.
He had to dig to find those.
Right.
And like I said, the van is very seldom ever leaves. It's not even in the best of condition.
Right.
Just today, I had a jack with the brakes. That's why actually on the side of the road when I was calling her to let her know, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. The brakes are acting up and the brake light is on.
Right.
And there's a bolt missing out of the brakes. So I had to try to get the one to go. I had an extra one. I had to try to get it to go back in.
So these 2 phones that you have.
I never hardly use the other one. You can check its records or whatever. It just sits there just in case. Yeah, I never hardly use it.
So the other one, 803-4012.
It's my cell. It's in my
no, and
stuff.
you don't lend that to anybody.
No, hell no. Hell no.
So, and one of the things we do is we look at, as you may be aware, those cellular phones, they ping on different towers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we can use those towers to triangulate the location of a phone at any given time. It's kind of Big Brotherish, but it's very helpful to our investigation.
Oh, you're more than...
So, and we've already started that process. So one of the things so that's why I ask you, things.
Yeah, my phone.
And so I just want to make sure that we're clear that you will
cooperate in any way.
No. That you haven't been going out at night at all this month. I mean, we're not going to find you at 2 o'clock in the morning out in some other part of town away from your house.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm with my wife every night.
Okay, and so we're not going to find you over on Tamarack. Or over there by Brentwood on the nights of those murders.
Yeah, most definitely not. Okay.
So your brother is a deacon over there. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he does, but yeah.
Did you discuss at all the murders with him?
No, I did not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, he knows better, so he wouldn't even...
So he doesn't mention, it's kind of an important thing that happened in the church?
No, I think he just let my wife know when the service was going on or something or whatever. And I may have translated a message about that. I think he said something to me about when the service was going to be or something like that. And like I said, man, why don't you just go and find out? Why don't you just come as a guest and see for yourself so you could I can't explain how that church works.
That's huge? Is this huge? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I can't explain because when you're there, you only have a particular thing that you're doing.
Right.
And it encompasses the whole time you're there.
Right.
So whatever's going on over here or over there, you're not going to know because that's not what you're doing.
Right.
See, so there's all kinds of stuff going on there. They have so many things going on. They have sewing clubs. They have excursions for the youth. They have, now I do pay attention to the youth though.
Right.
Because my niece is one of them. Her name's and I try to make sure they don't have cellular devices on, during church service. They got these little toy games and pads and all this jazz now. Well, I don't agree with any of that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I heard about the church and talking to the people at the church is that there's been a lot of discussion at the church about these murders because it involved 2 of their parishioners. Oh,
yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
But you didn't hear about any of that stuff?
Or participate in it? No.
No, not participate, but just hear the gossip that's going
on. No, other than I think there's one guy named and I believe he's the son or the nephew of one of the other people of the church, had said something about it vaguely, and I don't remember even what it was, but something to the tune. I wanted to say that I'm not sure. Okay, this is very not knowledgeable for me. I don't know about a lot of things. I know who's passing through the parking lot.
Right.
I know what time this store closes, or because it's right next door, the AutoZone, or some things like that. I could know about. But this kind of thing I wouldn't know about. It's not from even in my thought pattern.
That just seems odd to me. Not knowing the dynamics, but it seems odd.
Yeah.
Because that was a big deal at that church.
I vaguely remember one thing, and I wanted to say brought it up, but I'm not even sure if I brought it up. But something about the car being taken.
The car being taken?
Their car being taken, or something like that.
Right.
And then later on, it was discovered that it wasn't taken, or something like that. Okay. That's the only, I just vaguely remember hearing something about that. And I don't even remember if it was one of either the nephew or the grandson of one of the others. He's around 20-ish or so, and he's a security guard. Just about the only thing I can remember is that. Something vaguely about their car, and then their car missing, and then their car was not missing.
Mm-hmm. No, okay.
Something like that.
When did you hear that? You remember when you heard about that?
No, I just remember hearing it through one of the church people. They were discussing, like you said, the only time they would say something to me is, Tim, we're setting up, or Tim, we're not setting up, or how are you doing, Tim?
Right.
Or something, you see?
Right.
It's kind of like the whole thing. You just have to go one time, you'll understand. Everything is structured. The people walking this way are going to this. The people over here are doing this.
Right.
And so this don't mess with that until after everything's all said and done, and you might say hi or bye on the way out or in the parking lot, or or you might hang, like I usually hang back and put up the tables or the chairs, and we're usually the last ones to go, like that. That's how it functions. It's very proper, very laid back kind of atmosphere. Like I wash dishes.
Right.
I'll be in the kitchen, so I don't know what's going on out there because I'm washing dishes, that kind of thing, or sweeping the floor. The last time I did it all the way was been about 6 months, probably time to do it again. But they set up a buffet or a dinner once a week in there, and the gym floor is rubber or vulcanized rubber, so you spill crumbs, etc. And over time, it becomes gummied or gussied, and you have to mop it. That's the only way to get that stuff up, because it's foam. But it's covered foam. It's not like this raw foam. It's covered with plastic sealant kind of foam. And so once in a while, I pay attention to that. So I'll be doing that, not paying attention to whatever's going on, because I'm busy doing that.
So we had discussed earlier, one of the things that you had asked me is, what can you do to help?
Yeah, because I told you I would look, and I never got the chance, but I would like to look.
So that's one thing that can help us. We could figure out who you might have been with in there. But
I should have some notes about it somewhere.
Yeah. There's another thing that we do. It's an investigative tool we use in cases like this where we're just trying to eliminate people as possible suspects. And
I did that already.
Right, and that is a polygraph.
Oh, yeah, I could do that too. Yeah. So if you want me to, I will. But I thought I was doing that when I did the DNA.
No, DNA is for, so people leave traces of DNA behind, like it could be in your hair, it could be in your skin, you could sneeze and blow it out, and people kind of tend to leave it all around. And even when they wear gloves and get fingerprints or something like that, a lot of times we'll get DNA because they've breathed on something, or they coughed on something, or hair fell out.
Yeah, understandable.
So
we
get
thought that.
So that's why we get that. Yeah. Well, that helps us,
And then you taking those weapons out of the car. You're calling them weapons, or he called them weapons that day. And to me, I think they're all 6 months or a year been in there.
Right.
I don't even remember the fourth one. I was looking over that list, the description list that he gave me, and I can't even really, he writes kind of fancy a little bit. I can't even really read the whole thing, but he said one of them was some type of a broken kitchen knife or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now that one I really can't even figure in my own head where it came from or how it got in there, but I know it's been in there since the van was stolen or before, because it sat in Southside for a good while,
Mm-hmm.
Before they ever let me know.
So what I'll do is I'll be able to get hold of you, and we'll make arrangements for the polygraph.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. I don't mind
maybe
doing
tomorrow
anything. Two-years older, and its health issues are coming up. I'm just fighting them. I'm ornery. I did my bit. I'm trying to regain. This is it in a nutshell. Y'all took away 15. I'm trying to get back 15. That's it in a nutshell. I'm trying to do right. So I've done right for 7 so far. I'm trying to do right for 15.
Yeah.
Y'all can see, hey, and then maybe, just maybe, I'm hoping in my heart, I'm hoping that somebody will step back and fix that wrong, okay? Because I was screwed in that deal. But I didn't have a voice. How could I get a voice? I tried. I wrote letters to people about it.
Right.
Mike Lynch himself. Hey, I'm coming out. Is there any way that I can start without an X, on my back? I can become very angered by that, but I didn't. I did the right way. I've been working the whole time. I've been living the best I could. We ended up in a hotel in a bad part of town, and I'm still faring well there. We still managed to pay our bills. We've been there 2 years there. We don't cause no trouble there, As a manager, she's just a B to begin with. I think she's a doctor. But anyway, she's a little bit of a B, She doesn't like me to stand outside and smoke. She wants everybody to do everything inside their room.
Right.
Well, my wife don't smoke, so I stand outside to smoke. Well, she hasn't ever said anything else about it. I don't throw my cigarette butts out there where her person has to clean it.
Did y'all have some? Now you had your wife's son staying there. Were you getting a lot of visitors during that time?
Yeah, somewhat. He's a youngster. He plays video games and all that, and he works for 7-Eleven. He's green youngster, very not very well, very unsocietable, like he doesn't function well. He's been around mama's boy.
Yeah, so he's not good out in social situations.
Only thing he does is play videos, so he has a few friends that play those video games, which I don't like or understand. I don't want to know anything about them. People do it, that's their gig, not mine.
Right.
He was staying there with us for let me see, I guess 9 months or so.
Right.
Maybe a little longer. Don't know. I think about 9 months.
So obviously we talk to a lot of people. Anytime we investigate,
I'm sure other people said, "Hey, he's a harsh guy, but he's not like that." I'm trying to be. I've been trying since 07 to be different.
Sure.
I've been trying to. I forgot all the things that they don't even fit anymore.
Right.
How I would go to achieve some things before don't happen now. You can't do it that way. You have to go to a different place, and you have to be a different dress and everything else and different style, and I don't understand all of it.
Is there something you can think of that could help?
I am thinking of a little something.
As a person?
I am thinking of a little something, but I'm going to have to think on it a moment. I'm thinking on something right now because you struck a chord when you asked me that. I'm thinking on, but it goes back to, it ties into the van being stolen, man. That's what it ties into. It has to be who. Okay, get this. You did 15 in the pokey.
Right.
All right. You managed. You saved your integrity, and you come out swinging a heavy bat. I got a job right away. I got my own place right away. I bought my own truck right away. I worked my ass 2 jobs to the bone, and I came out and did everything successful. Somebody, I can't figure out who would be having enough balls to try to steal my van.
Right.
Because Also, I know so many people, all it takes is for me to say the boom, and I did do that.
Mm-hmm.
We were even, several times I went with someone in their vehicle looking for that van.
Right.
And we was ready to take care of business.
Right, sure.
You see, if I caught them in that van, we were going to rectify right then and there. Now, then you get a call.
It'll be a trial.
Thanks,
trial right there.
thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
You know, that's what it was going to happen. I was very upset, okay? Whoever had the balls to bug me like that is the kind of person that'll do something wicked. You see there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's one or two I can think of, you know, that might have, but whomever did it, and then this is telling me something weird too. They didn't even have to bust the lock on that van, but they did. They didn't even have to. All you got to do is put your hands on the glass and pull the glass down. I got a screwdriver jibbed in the door right now.
Right.
Did you notice that? Mm-hmm. The glass falls right down. You take that screwdriver out. You don't even have to take it out. You can take your hands. They didn't have to put the lock. So that tells me that it's somebody young.
Well, most of those things were stolen by young kids.
Okay, but somebody knew that they were taking my van. You got to understand that. There's something there. Okay, because I'm a helpful kind of guy right now. A lot of those people at the motel, I take them to the food pantries. Mm-hmm. I helped a couple of them get work. You know, not work with me, just get work, you know, from other people that I know. And then I have helped a couple of them on some extra matters, you know, that don't pertain to your thing, you know. And so they think that I'm a nice guy or a helpful guy, and I try to be like that now. But somebody's eating at that with like it's a weakness, you know, and they jack my man.
You didn't consider that maybe it was just some teenage kid?
Even if it was, when they did that, and then they abandoned it, where I was told they abandoned it at on 290.
Oh, okay.
That tells me that it's somewhere in this district.
Right.
Somewhere in the north side.
Right.
And everybody freaking swinging knows in the north side. I did my part and I come out and I ain't been involved in nothing and I ain't taken for nothing.
Right.
Everybody knows that. So everybody knows that. Everybody. Even those freaking ones that pulled me down for the yogurt shop thing. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, we better leave that guy alone. That guy come in here and fixed our business. You know, he told us our business, and they should have looked for that before they ever yanked me.
So what? So when you went out looking for your band, who did you go out with?
Well, they wouldn't be of your interest. They're not. They're aiding me.
Right. I'm just curious who your friends are that would.
Yeah, they wouldn't be. They're just regular old guys, but they're down for like being treated right. You know, they do things right. They work all day and go home to their girl, you know. Right. They wouldn't be, but I'm thinking.
I don't think they're killers.
Yeah, I'm thinking that somebody that may have even been in that van, because they went to that door side.
So after they stole your van, why would they go kill somebody?
No, I'm not. Well, I don't. Right. Okay, I'm not. I'm just saying for them to have enough. Out of all the cars in the parking lot they could have took, why are they going to take some jinky old junked up full van? Right. You know, when there was all kinds of cars in there, Mustang, BMW, you know, all kind of noted Ford trucks, Ford trucks with the damn hookup welders hooked up in the back and compressors right in the back. Right. Why are they going to take that, man? See there, that's something. Okay, what I'm thinking, this is honestly, okay, I really don't even want this to be in this room when I discuss this with you, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. Okay. Whomever took that van has the capacity to do that what you're asking, you see, because they had it to take the van, because they had to know, hey, I know everybody in this town. Mm-hmm. I know everybody, man, in this town.
So you're saying you think that somebody who took that van has a capacity for committing murder?
Yeah, I'm saying whoever took that van had a capacity to do that. I mean, they had to have some high results when they did that. Because I guarantee you, soon that next morning, I was out there looking. And I even told Mr. Geist, the officer that came on the scene 2 days later, I already been looking. Me and several of my buddies been looking. He said he'd be doing the same thing. He'd be doing the same thing. We went all the way to Grand Avenue because we know there's a bunch of technical areas over there, a lot of warehousey type parking lots, big parking lots where they could have did. We went all the way to Grand Avenue, and we came all the way back to Coney Lane. Actually, really all the way back to 38th, but we didn't jump on that side of 35. I was thinking about that when we were looking. We didn't jump on that side of 35. I tried to look in Little Mexico where we're at. I'm thinking somebody had too much sauce because it was on a weekend, needed a way, and saw that and did it at first. And then I started thinking to myself, when I got the van back, it's on the passenger side. That freaking window, all you had to do is go like that. It come right down. It won't even lock. It won't even close. So why the hell did they jib the lock? Something ain't fitting right. Something just ain't right. And from that point till now, there's a whole lot of things not fitting right. It's like somebody, I do the same thing every day, sir. In case you hadn't noticed, you might have been watching me just to see. I work a little bit every day. I was working at a 7. I'm trying to get another job at a 7-Eleven right now. I just talked to Jacob, and he's trying to hook me up right away. Because I have the capacity to handle that job well.
Right.
I didn't work too well with Armando because he wouldn't give me no hours. I was pissed off.
Right.
Go 3 days for 16 hours. That's just a headache. Would you come here for 16 hours? You wouldn't do it. It's not worth your trouble. Right. You're not getting paid enough money to make it worth your trip. I put up with it as long as I could, and I had to deal with 2 youngsters that don't know what they're doing and what they're dealing with. You got people slinging out in the parking lot and making people sick, and they're coming in here, and you got to call ambulance because the dude's going, I can't breathe, and he just went out there in the parking lot and scored some, it was plastic or some kind of from one of them for $20 and tried to hit it, and he had it in his hand in the cellophane when the ambulance got there. This is when I'm at work. I had to call the ambulance,
right?
And they don't realize what they're dealing with. Is this what they?
Yeah, that's the inventory of the stuff there.
Okay.
You can kind of see.
And this one you had already said you were going to deal with. Was that still?
Which one is that?
Stand. You just let those. You said you were going to deal with that.
Flashlights, gloves.
No, it's from that police
jacket.
jacket.
From the police jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that in. I don't know.
You said you were going. You said you was. You said it wouldn't screw me.
Well, what I said was that I mean, I don't know. We're gonna look. We're gonna deal with that. We'll take a look. So
okay.
Yeah, I know. So
cell phone.
Yeah.
Baseball cards.
Let's just say that's something that's in my hip pocket.
Oh, yeah. These 2 things were in the little stash box for the kids to play with. My old phone, gloves, flashlights. Where were they? Backpack. Oh, everything in my backpack. That's all old shit. There for a year. Been in there since we've been in that room. The box with the ring. That belongs to my sister's son. She would know about it or can ask her son. He'll tell her that belongs to him. It has something to do with Christmas. I don't know any more than that. He just asked me to hang on to it. So
what's that?
So I did. The box with the ring in it. And unknown jewelry is all junk, old stuff. Been in that box for a year better. It doesn't relate to anything. The pawn tickets for the Nugget I told you about doesn't relate to nothing. Now, this one just says jewelry. It doesn't say anymore. So I don't think it was much jewelry. There was just a few items. I just have a few real items. That's it.
Okay. Well, listen. Let me say this, just so you understand, because I want to make sure that we're all real clear. Is that, and I said this already, but I just want to. Yeah, you can keep that. I just wanted to make sure
it's
really clear with you, and that is that everything we've discussed, I'm gonna check. Okay.
Okay. You
check all the stuff we check. And I think you understand.
Yeah.
I think you understand that.
Yeah. But also though, you should. Part of okay. I don't know how. Okay, because I don't know anything about murder. Okay. Somehow, the theft of that van links into this, and I don't know how. Okay. I would have to know who did it. I would have to actually. Even if I don't know them, they could have been one of the campers right over there by the camp that's right there by the and if it's one of them that I've seen before, I've ran them out of the store and caused major aggression.
Why would that person who stole your pan then go
If they
kill
can't,
somebody?
if they can't get along with me during the course of something to come to a happy medium, just like you and I did,
Right.
there's something amiss with them.
Sure.
Okay.
And maybe they're capable of murder, but why would they murder these particular people?
That I would not know. I wouldn't. In other words, I don't even think that there's any. I don't even think there's any correlation.
Well, maybe not between the two murders.
Yeah, I don't even think there. I don't even think
there may not be. But
it's just at this time of the year, there's some crazy stuff, and I've fielded it before with the campers. Messing with letting the air out of my tire at the store on Masterson. See, I used to work at the store right there next to the room at Lamar, the 7-Eleven right there, right next to the room, Lamar and Masterson. And they let the air out of my tire right there. And I'm like, why the you have to do that, man? Why didn't you just come tell me? You know, I tell you, you can't be on the property, but if you need a hot dog and you ask me halfway decent, I give you as a hot dog, you get on your way.
Right.
You know? And it caused a thing. I think there's some kind of a link.
Right.
You know?
So the reason I mention this, and I'm just saying, the reason, and I always tell people this every time, is that if you did do it, I'll know that. Yeah, okay, I'm just saying. I know.
I would tell you.
I tell everybody.
You know, just so we can get past first base.
And I tell everybody this: that if you did do it, it's going to come out in the wash. So.
Yeah.
You know, so now is the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with murder. Just for a side note, because those guys rode with you, and apparently you called for those two guys to come with you, but they left that stuff. They missed that stuff. It's just my receipt from Olive Garden. It was in my pocket. APDs that.
The officer
searched me. They left those, and I was digging through my jacket and found them in my jacket.
Well,
I should have found that first. If it was, I would hope freely that I could just put it there in the table and we deal with it. You see.
Okay, so here's the deal.
And hopefully you got some halfway decent.
I'm gonna send you guys. I'm gonna send you back to these guys, these officers. They're gonna take control of you again. They're gonna take you back out there. Okay, out to where you live at. All right, they're gonna issue a citation, a traffic ticket. For the driving with your license.
Warning.
And ticket.
Yeah, a ticket I have to
citation.
Pay. A warning ticket that I just had to pay.
But here's the thing. Okay, I understand the situation.
Yeah, because I have to answer for it. And it's going to cost me a lot of headache, and you don't want to cause me a headache. I have to explain it to her.
Well, you already have to explain this. You have to explain that you've had contact with me, correct?
Yeah, she's going to ask me everything.
So you just explain the whole thing. Say, hey, listen, I was driving. I got a traffic ticket. They brought me in and they talked to me. Okay, not a big deal. All right, so.
Oh no, man. I don't know. She knew, and they've been really ringing me around. That's the bad thing. If it was Mr. OG, I'd tell Mr. O'Goyer straight up.
Right.
You know, because he was my person for 2 years. He could tell you I ain't no killer. You know, I mean, I can think of a bunch of people that could tell you I ain't no killer. I would hope they would, but I am.
Mr. O'Goyer is the supervisor over there, right? So he's still there to vouch for you.
I saw him not too long ago, but I don't know. I just saw him in passing. Hey, Mr. OG. Yeah, he's came to my home for 2 years, met my wife, everything. I'm not no killer, okay?
All right. So
I thought you understood that from the first meeting. I thought you were just doing it in John Wayne style, but.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, understand my side. I don't pretend like other people. I don't pretend that I'm a human polygraph, that I can look at somebody and tell if they're lying to me or not.
Well, what does your gut tell you?
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't.
After 20 years, you got to have a gut.
So what my gut tells me is that you're a talker. You talk.
I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You know.
So what I rely on is the facts. So you give me a lot of facts. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and I can check those facts. And those facts check out, then I know that you were telling the truth. If they don't check out, then I know you weren't. That's how my lie detector works. It's pretty easy. It's based less on hunches and stuff.
Handcuff me when
No, they can take you back without the handcuffs. All right, just stay here, okay?
Okay.
You have any questions for me?
I would like both of y'all's cards, so I can contact you,
Absolutely. Hey, so I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow about the polygraph. So whoever you want to talk to about
I
it.
try to get a hold. I have an
talk to him
attorney.
about it.
I have an attorney. I just don't know if he's that kind of
Well,
attorney.
I
I just need to
wanna-
ask him.
I want
What
to
should
get
I
it,
do?
get it set up. In the end, it's your decision. However you want to do it. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it.
Oh no, I don't mind doing it. I don't mind doing it at all. We did that already. Yeah.
We're not trying to. These guys are gonna take you out.
Do I get my belongings?
Yeah, whenever we get that back to your place, we'll give them to you.
Okay. Okay. I'm just curious.
Thanks.
I feel kind of naked.
Yeah. Hey, you should come out. If you're arrested, you should come up here for a week or something.
Yeah, that'd be
With
awesome.
your sergeant.
Oh yeah. It'd be hard to do it during the training cycle because I'm the only FTO.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so kind of.
all right. Thanks.
Was to happen there, and that's basically it's,
Okay.
it's pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah, like I said, you weren't in for a murder.
interest to the blogger. So it's going to be a booger. You might even need if I'm thinking correctly.
Well, we're gonna drive by there in a little bit until we'll put it
Yeah,
out.
you may need those people in there. Now, where do I sign it
I
at?
don't sign it yet
Okay.
because we have to sign in front of witnesses. So I'm gonna have 2 people come in, and we're just gonna verify that you're signing it, and I'm not like. Well, I mean,
Coercing it,
we're
yeah.
video, but still,
Yeah, you're not
make sure I'm not
coercing
holding a
me.
gun to your head or
Yeah.
anything like that. Okay, Tim. These 2 are witnesses. They're non-police officers. They're just witnessing it. They can't say anything or anything like that, so they're gonna do it. So what I'd like you to
I
do.
want to sign it. you know.
Sure, I know. But so they know that you are doing this freely.
Freely. Yeah.
What I'd like you to do is
I need everybody to know too that I'm trying to cooperate.
You
know,
are cooperating.
I want that known.
that's the biggest thing, and that's why I put that in there.
Okay.
So if you can just read it for me,
It's-
start at the top.
It says at 9:35 p.m. on January 16, 2015.
No, start all the way up here.
Okay, at 9:35
Yeah,
p.m. on January 16, 2015, and before making the following statement, I, Timothy Scott Parlin, Homicide Unit 715 East 8th Street, was warned by Detective Israel of my rights, and I was to whom this statement is given of my rights as follows. It has all my rights on there. I have the right to refuse to sign or refuse to cooperate. It says, I do hereby knowingly and intentionally and voluntarily waive my right. And my right to have a lawyer present and advise me. I make the following
And
statement.
can you actually read those out so that?
I have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all, and that any statement I do make may be used against me at my trial. Any statement I make may be used against me in court. I have the right to have a lawyer present to advise me prior to and during any questioning. If I am unable to employ a lawyer, I have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise me prior to and during any questioning. And I have the right to terminate the interview at any time. I, the undersigned, receive foregoing warnings, and I fully understand each of the rights contained in the warnings. I do hereby knowingly and intentionally and voluntarily waive my right to be silent and my right to have a lawyer present to advise me. I make the following statement in writing without any threats or promises of any kind having been made. And I have been informed that under Penal Code of the State of Texas, Section 3702, a person commits the offense of perjury with the intent to deceive and with the knowledge of the statement's meaning. He or she makes a false statement under oath or swears to the truth of a false statement previously made. And the statement is required or authorized to be made under oath. You want me to read the rest of it?
Yes, please.
That says, my name is Timothy Scott Parlin. I am giving this statement because I want to cooperate with the police. I have been cooperating with the police throughout this investigation. And I have been doing that, by the way. on December 6th, 2014 at about 1 a.m. Now the time I'm not sure of exactly. I drove Sean Gant Banal Kazar. Is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm.
In my sister's green to a neighborhood off of Palmer Lane. I stopped the car on Council Bluff, and I didn't know the name. He had to show me. Near the intersection with Oak Creek Drive, Sean exited the car and walked onto Tamarack Trail. The plan was for Sean, and that part I'm not sure of. I put it down here. I wrote it in. I didn't know of any plans for what was to happen there. Okay. I just was the driver. I just gave him a ride. There was no plan for anyone to get hurt or killed. I was only involved. Well, it says I was involved with the burglary because I needed extra money. That part
Okay, is that not what you?
It's kind of weird how it's worded, but it says Sean had picked the house, and Sean told me to stay in the car while he did it. Sean returned to the car about 30 minutes later and was carrying a bag with something in it. On December 15th, again, the dates and the times I'm not exactly sure, but 1 to 3 p.m. sounds about right.
3 a.m.?
3 a.m., I mean. I drove Sean to Yates Avenue where I dropped him off, and I then parked on Yates Avenue between Karen Avenue and Brentwood Street. The plan was to burglarize a house. And again, I wrote that so you can know that I didn't know of whatever the exact plans were.
Well, but hold on. I just want to make sure you understand. This is your statement. You're saying that you knew that there was a plan to burglarize the house.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what his
plan was.
You
didn't know that he was going to kill.
I didn't know anybody.
Right.
He was going to kill anybody or anything else.
But the plan was to commit a burglary. And that's what you're saying is.
The plan was to burglarize a house, is what it says. Sean chose the house to burglarize. I was just a driver. About an hour later, I'm guessing it was pretty close to an hour. Pretty close. Better than 3 or 4 cigarettes. And 3 or 4 cigarettes is about 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. Sorry.
So it was longer than that. And Sean called me and told me to pick him up near the creek. I picked him up on Arroyo Seco between Brentwood and Karen Avenue. When he came back, Sean told me he had stuck a knife in someone's face. He didn't elaborate, but he said that. And when he started to leave, he heard a noise, so he went back and kicked them in the face. That's what he said. Of course, wasn't on the scene, so I don't know for sure. Sean told me that he had hidden bloody clothes, which we're going to go find out about, near a ball field. And he gave me some particulars. I'm just not remembering all of them. I will lead you to this location. I will also lead you to another place. And I believe he bled there. He said something about bleeding there.
He bled at okay.
Yeah, at this other place. And
okay, can you read what it says?
Exactly what it says.
Yeah.
I will lead you to this location. I will also lead you to a place off of William Cannon where I drove him to do a burglary before the Tamarack burglary. Okay.
So you read this. You understand what's in there, correct?
Yeah.
This is your statement.
Yeah, this is.
Raise your right hand.
I definitely raised my right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the information contained in this document is true and correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. If and the entirety of the statement is true and correct, please sign that.
As long as that part that I didn't know of exactly. You said the plan was a burglary. I didn't know exactly what his plan was because I'm not the one going with him to do it.
Right. So let me ask you this, so we make sure that we understand. Okay. So you didn't know that the plan was to kill anyone.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah, that plan was. I didn't even know what exactly the
Sean
was
going to commit a burglary
or something, jack somebody, whatever the hell. I don't know. I wasn't in part for that. You see, so I don't know what his plan was exactly.
Okay, so this statement is a true and correct.
Pretty damn close, yes, sir.
Okay, it can't be pretty damn close. It has to be true and correct. You're swearing to everything that's in the statement.
Yeah, I'm swearing to. I mean, this part's recorded, So
Yeah, everything's recorded.
Yeah, I'm swearing to the part that I took him to these places. Yes, and what his motives were, I have no idea.
Okay, all right. So if this information is true and correct, please sign right here.
Right here?
Yes.
Should I print it too?
No.
Okay. Oh, I found that on the floor, by the way.
Okay.
And they just have to.
Yeah, they're just going to sign. If you can just sign and write your name right here. That this is. That you signed voluntarily.
Yeah, I signed voluntarily. Everything has been. I've been voluntarily trying to cooperate.
Maybe just print your name. Oh, you did right there. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Later.
Well, these people are.
Later. Will I get a copy of that later?
Your attorney will.
Okay.
So, and what these people
Am
are,
I
just so you
gonna
understand, they're not with the police. I mean, they're just civilians, and their whole job is just to watch and make sure that you're treated fairly by the
Okay.
police
Yeah,
department.
yeah. Like
So
I wasn't
these people are, they're on your side.
in any way to cooperate. I choose to cooperate. Hey, there's that other guy that was with you that day. He just walked by.
Thank you. Which one? Scanlon?
Scanlon, the guy that was with you the first
The
day.
astute one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The guy that, okay, I asked you, you never did answer that.
What's that?
But y'all took a lot of things from me, and then I eventually get those things back, right?
Yeah, once all of this is over.
I mean, as long as they're not tied in.
Yeah, as long as they're not
to
tied
this.
into anything,
Yeah, yeah.
you get it back.
Hey, Mr. Andrew.
Yeah.
Shit, you got to talk with me about that for a second.
About what?
Because I've never done that before.
Yeah, all that is just putting
I've
down and
never
writing
done
what you
that,
said.
okay? So
Yeah.
you got to, I'm trusting that you're going to.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know?
Okay, I've never done that. So
Yeah.
I've never been asked to do it.
Well, it's a serious case, so
Yeah.
we make sure we make no mistakes about what you're doing.
Yeah, I didn't have no earthly idea what to do.
Okay.